Let's take a look at our top selections. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Let's take a look at the field for the feature race at Golden Gate Fields on Sunday. And anybody that wants to get past leg B of the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4 must escape from Alcatraz. It's the Alcatraz Stakes, 1 mile on the turf for 3-year-olds. Pretty big field, Mike.
Yeah, pretty big field and pretty wide open race too, Dan. I felt like a lot of different horses could win here. I thought at the end of the day, maybe it could just all come down to trips here. Who gets the best one might come out the winner.
And also who might best handle the turf. Many of these horses have raced on synthetic, are going to try to successfully transfer that form to the turf course. Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. I'd like to see the one Seattle Bold utilize his speed. Blinkers on. His only win came in gate-to-wire fashion sprinting. He was kind of held up in between horses last time out. I think the blinkers are going to do him some good. He seems a little green.
He does seem a little green. I agree with you, though. I feel like it would be a good idea for them to use his speed in this race and try to go to the front. There are a couple of stretch-out sprinters to the outside in this race, but this horse does have a good amount of speed, and he's got the rail.
He's eligible for a non-winners of 2 life. The number 2, JT's Watch, who we expect to come from the back of the pack, has already won 3 times, but this will be his stakes debut. Let's watch JT's Watch's win on the turf at Golden Gate on May the 9th. We see him on the outside here, and he's going to grind this thing down. A solid performance, but he is going to have to improve as he steps up in class.
Yeah, it's nice that he has a win on the turf because, as you mentioned in the open, Dan, a lot of these horses don't have a win on the grass to point to. He ran fine in here. He got a really good trip. He's going to eventually get it done and hold off Chief Jackson, who's also back in here. To be honest, Dan, I wasn't thrilled with the race. I didn't really feel like I wanted either one of these 2 horses. We'll see if they can improve.
And it's a good segue to Chief Jackson, who's up next. And I guess it was a good try considering he was stretching out for the first time. He was switching to turf. It just seemed that pace was kind of falling apart just a little bit at the end, and the closers benefited.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really have any excuse that I could see. They just took him back to last, sat there all the way down to mid-stretch, and then he was, making up some late ground. But as you've already said, it feels like it was that kind of a race.
Okay, Sera Sir Ralph won on the turf last time out at Golden Gate. Let's take a look at that race. Now, remember, this is only a maiden special weight affair. We see Sera Sir Ralph. He's 22-1. First time blinkers, he felt handsome in blinkers.
He did. He actually ran, pretty well in this race, Dan. He didn't get out of the gate that well. They just sat last early, but he just kept improving his position throughout the race. And then he had the best finish, too, to get clear at the end. I mean, I didn't really find anything to knock about that performance. His prior turf start, when he lost at Turf Paradise, that race is a lot better than it looks, Dan. I mean, he went a pretty good pace in that race, contesting it. The horse that won it came from way out of it as a first-time starter and then came back to win again at Santa Anita with a 79 buyer. So he got beat by a good horse in that race, and he took a step forward last time.
I wouldn't be surprised if the 5 Top Executive ends up going to the front. He's one of those stretch-out sprinters you mentioned in the open. Top Executive is a stakes winner sprinting on dirt, and we're going to watch his synthetic debut last time out at Golden Gate. Now, this is a 5.5 furlong race. He is 35-1, and he's going to somehow gut this out.
Yeah, he's the longest shot on the board in here. I guess they just didn't respect his Emerald Downs form, Dan, because as you pointed out, he was a stakes winner up there. He switched surfaces here. He got a really good trip. The horse that he's going to eventually fight off there tried to come from last, made a really sharp run around the turn, and it felt like that horse just got tired at the end. But this horse, he ran well in that race, and I'm not going to knock him.
His speed figure really improved in that race, and it was somewhat validated when the 5th place finisher came back to earn a 75 buyer in his next start. He's trying turf and routing for the first time. I like the street bosses on the turf. Does the distance bother you?
No, I'm not going to worry about distance with this horse yet. I mean, obviously he has to prove that he can stretch out, but we'll see if he can do it. I didn't see anything in his pedigree to make me think he won't get this far.
Distance and turf shouldn't be an issue for another stretch-out sprinter trying grass for the first time, the 6 Jungle Cry. Let's watch his last race, a 3rd-place effort and an allowance. He's by Kentucky Derby winner Animal Kingdom, who certainly can, his progeny can certainly step on the turf. We see Jungle Cry easing to the outside here. He's going to gain some late ground. He's another horse, seems a little bit green. He's still learning the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, Dan. You know, in all three of his synthetic races, he hasn't really shown that much speed. They just rate him right from the start and take him back, and then they try to sweep the field around the turn every single time. He's run well, I think, in all three of his sprint races. And he is really, not only is he bred to get longer, but he's bred for turf. I mean, his dam was a stakes winner on the grass, and she was graded stakes place routing on the turf. His second dam was a grade 3 winner on the turf. She went 3 for 3 on the grass. So this horse is bred for this surface, and he has shown some talent sprinting.
I Declare, the number 7, finished ahead of 2 next out winners in the Cal Oaks. She was 5th that day. Now she takes on the boys. I like that the buyers are moving up with each and every start, and she's really bred for turf. So while she earned a career best buyer speed figure in the Cal Oaks, she did earn her maiden win on the turf, and I think that's where her future is going to lie.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she's probably going to wind up being a turf horse. We'll just see how good she is, I guess, as she faces the boys in this race. She looked fine to me winning that turf race, Dan, the only time they ran on it. But, man, did she get a candy trip in there, just sitting up on a slow pace with the horse who wound up being second. They didn't go fast. This horse was way better than the horse that she outfinished in there, but there just didn't really feel like there was much else in that field.
None Above the Law just won the Silky Sullivan Stakes, an off-the-turf race that was washed onto the synthetic. Let's watch that effort on April the 25th. He takes the long way around. He's really wide on the second turn into the stretch. He's the gray. Just to his inside now is Seattle Bold, who just seems a little bit intimidated when this gray horse came alongside of him. None Above the Law is going to blow by them all. You see Seattle Bold re-rally a little bit. Nice effort from both.
Yeah, I thought they all ran. Even the third finisher, I thought, ran well in this race, Dan, because he was closer to the pace than the other two. And it did sort of feel like a race where it sort of was coming back for the closers at the end of the race. None Above the Law, to me, did run well, though. I mean, he always looked like he was going to run in that race. He traveled very strongly. He came wide. He closed it down with very little trouble at the end. We'll see if he turfs. He's certainly bred to handle the grass, and he ran well last time.
Stalking Shadow certainly fits this race. He has won 4 of his last 5 starts, all 4 of those races routing, albeit on synthetic. This will be the turf debut for Stalking Shadow. Another horse just moving forward with each and every start. He's the lone 4-time winner in the field.
Yeah, he's got very good form on the way in here. They're going to try a different surface now and see if that works out. Listen, I don't want to knock him, Dan, because he has, been in very good form lately. But, man, I feel like in each of his last 2 races, you could make the argument that while he won, he wasn't best either time. It felt like Seattle Bold ran better than he did 2 starts back in a race that had a really fast pace, and this horse got up late. And then even in the Cal Derby, we already talked about that race in another stakes preview that we did. The horses that finished second and third in there, they dueled for a long way. They were exhausted in the stretch, and this horse came and got him.
Top Harbor finished 3rd in the Silky Sullivan. We talked about him. He made one of the first moves into the pace that day, flattened out just a little bit, but I think 3rd off the layoff. He is improving and could do some late damage given a trip. Post 10 is not going to be easy to overcome.
Yeah, he didn't get a great post. I do think he's run well in his 2 synthetic starts, though. We watched the sprint race there back in April. I thought he ran well that day trying to come from last in a race that was probably too short for him. He ran well again last time, got a little bit tired at the end. I think this horse's form is good. I wonder if he's going to be a turf horse. His dam was a turf horse. This sire does not get a lot of turf runners, though.
Top pick time for the Alcatraz Stakes. Hunch play, of course, in the Alcatraz would be None Above the Law. You're going to go with Jungle Cry, however, the number 6, a horse with the beautiful turf pedigree who is stretching out and has really, really competitive buyer speed figures.
Yeah, his figures say he can contend with these horses. He's got the pedigree to handle the surface switch and the added distance. And I just think he's shown some talent in those last 3 starts, Dan. He showed that he could run a little bit in those races.
I want to use Jungle Cry. I'm going to go with Seattle Bold. I want him to be aggressive from the gate. If not outright going to the front, maybe he can secure the pocket going into the first turn. I think the blinkers are really going to help this horse out. He's lightly raced. He's slowly putting it together. 6-1-10-8 for Mike, 1-6-8-5 for me. It's the Alcatraz at Golden Gate on Sunday. Good luck.